Welcome to the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Prepcast, where we guide you through everything you need to know for your certification exam. Whether you're just starting or looking to refine your knowledge, this course will set you up for success. Brought to you by baremetalcyber.com. Let's get started. When people first hear about cloud computing, they often assume it will automatically save money. While that can be true, the reality is more nuanced. The real power of the cloud comes from flexibility, and with flexibility comes the need to understand how pricing works. AWS offers multiple ways to pay for its services, each suited to different scenarios. For the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner exam, pricing knowledge is critical. You don't need to calculate exact bills, but you must understand the models, their trade-offs, and when to use each. In practice, this knowledge ensures organizations avoid unnecessary costs while maximizing the value of the cloud. The simplest model is pay-as-you-go. Just like paying for utilities such as water or electricity, customers are charged only for the resources they actually use. If you run a virtual server for a few hours, you pay for those hours and nothing more. This model eliminates the need for large upfront investments and avoids the risk of buying more capacity than needed. It also encourages experimentation, since you can try services without committing long-term. Pay-as-you-go is one of the cloud's most attractive features, making technology accessible to everyone from startups to global enterprises. On-demand pricing is the most common way customers consume AWS services under the pay-as-you-go model. With on-demand, you launch resources when needed and shut them down when they are no longer required. Pricing is calculated by the second or hour, depending on the service. This flexibility is perfect for unpredictable workloads, like websites that receive varying amounts of traffic. Imagine renting a car only on the days you need it, instead of owning one full-time. On-demand is simple, convenient, and risk-free, but it can be more expensive in the long run compared to other models if usage is steady and predictable. Reserved instances provide an option for customers with predictable workloads. With reserved instances, you commit to using a specific type of resource for a 1 or 3 year term. In exchange for this commitment, AWS offers a significant discount compared to on-demand pricing. This is like signing a lease instead of booking hotel rooms every night. You pay less overall because you've guaranteed steady usage. Reserved instances are ideal for applications that run continuously, such as a company's main database server. While they reduce flexibility, they deliver major savings for stable, long-term workloads. Savings plans are a newer alternative to reserved instances that offer more flexibility. Instead of committing to a specific instance type, customers commit to a certain amount of compute usage, measured in dollars per hour, for a 1 or 3 year term. They can then apply that commitment across many different compute services, such as EC2, Lambda, or Fargate. This model is like buying a meal plan instead of pre-ordering the same dish every day. You still save money, but you can choose from a wider menu. For organizations with varied workloads, savings plans strike a balance between savings and flexibility. Spot instances represent another unique pricing option. These allow customers to bid on unused AWS capacity, often at steep discounts. However, there is a catch. AWS can reclaim spot instances with little notice if demand rises. This makes them unsuitable for critical workloads but perfect for flexible, fault-tolerant tasks like batch processing or testing. Think of it like flying standby on an airline. You pay much less, but you may lose your seat if the flight fills up. Spot pricing rewards creativity, letting companies save big by using spare capacity intelligently. The AWS free tier is often the first experience newcomers have with pricing. It provides limited amounts of certain services at no cost, such as 750 hours of EC2 usage or 5 gigabytes of S3 storage for the first 12 months. The free tier helps beginners explore AWS without financial risk. However, customers must watch their usage carefully to avoid unexpected charges if they exceed free limits. For learners, the free tier is an excellent way to practice hands-on skills and build confidence in using core AWS services. For businesses, it can serve as a safe way to test ideas. Service-specific pricing is another important concept. Different AWS services have unique pricing models, depending on how they are used. For example, S3 charges based on storage amount, requests, and data transfer, while EC2 pricing depends on instance type, operating system, and region. Understanding these details helps customers plan more effectively. For exam purposes, you don't need to memorize exact rates, but you should know what factors influence cost for common services. This knowledge makes you better prepared to answer scenario-based questions where pricing is part of the decision. Cost optimization is a major goal of every AWS customer. This means using the right pricing model and tools to minimize costs without sacrificing performance. Organizations might mix on-demand, reserved, and spot pricing to create the best balance. They might also choose cheaper storage classes for infrequently accessed data or turn off idle servers. Cost optimization is not about cutting corners but about spending wisely. AWS encourages this mindset by offering tools and services that make it easier to track spending and identify opportunities for savings. For the exam, remember that cost optimization is one of the core benefits of cloud computing. Cost allocation tags provide a way to track expenses by project, department, or purpose. Tags are labels attached to resources such as project marketing or team finance. When applied consistently, tags make it easy to see which groups are responsible for which costs. This transparency supports accountability and better budget management. Without tags, costs can blend together, making it difficult to know who is driving usage. For organizations with many teams and projects, cost allocation tags are a practical way to ensure spending is visible and aligned with business goals. Billing alarms with CloudWatch help organizations avoid surprises. A billing alarm can be set to trigger when costs exceed a certain threshold, sending alerts to administrators. For example, a company might set an alarm at $1,000 per month. If usage rises above that, the finance team is notified immediately. This allows quick action before expenses spiral out of control. Billing alarms reflect the cloud's philosophy of proactive management. They empower customers to stay aware of spending and take control, rather than being surprised by a large bill at the end of the month. Consolidated billing is another useful feature, especially for organizations with multiple AWS accounts. It allows all accounts under an AWS organization to share one bill, simplifying payment and tracking. Consolidated billing also makes it easier to take advantage of volume discounts, since usage from all accounts is combined. Think of it like a family phone plan, where multiple lines share the same pool of minutes and data at a lower cost than if each person had their own plan. This not only reduces administrative work, but also saves money. The AWS Pricing Calculator is a helpful tool for estimating costs. Customers can input their expected usage, such as how many servers they plan to run or how much storage they need, and the calculator generates an estimate of monthly costs. While it cannot predict unexpected changes, it provides a solid baseline for planning. For exam purposes, it is enough to know that the pricing calculator exists and helps customers forecast expenses. In real life, this tool supports financial planning and ensures that organizations choose services with a clear understanding of cost implications. Billing transparency is one of AWS's guiding principles. Customers are given detailed bills that show exactly what they are paying for, down to individual services and resources. This transparency is very different from traditional IT, where costs were often bundled into large, hard-to-interpret invoices. Clear billing makes it easier to spot waste, optimize usage, and justify expenses. For exam preparation, remember that AWS emphasizes transparency and clarity in billing, giving customers confidence that they understand where their money is going. This openness builds trust and supports better financial decision-making. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. The cost of AWS services is influenced by several factors, and understanding them is key to managing budgets effectively. Usage patterns, the types of services selected, the region in which they are deployed, and how long resources are kept running all play a role. For example, leaving a virtual machine running when it is not needed can increase costs significantly. Similarly, transferring large amounts of data or storing files in more expensive storage classes can add up quickly. Customers must be mindful of these factors to avoid surprises. AWS provides tools to monitor and adjust usage, but the responsibility lies with customers to use those tools wisely. Region choice is another critical factor in pricing. AWS services are offered in multiple regions worldwide, and the cost of running the same resource can vary between them. For instance, hosting an EC2 instance in one region may cost more than in another due to differences in infrastructure and demand. While customers may prefer the cheapest region, they also need to consider performance, data residency, and compliance requirements. Choosing the right region is a balance between cost and business needs. The exam may test this by asking why a company would select one region over another. Data transfer costs often surprise new users. Moving data within a region, such as between availability zones, is usually inexpensive, but transferring data between regions or out to the internet incurs higher charges. For example, streaming video to millions of users around the world can generate substantial transfer costs. To control expenses, companies often use content delivery networks like CloudFront, which reduce long-distance transfers. For exam purposes, remember that while storing and processing data may seem straightforward, transferring it can significantly influence overall costs. Awareness of this principle is a big step toward cost optimization. Storage pricing also varies based on the class of storage chosen. Amazon S3 offers multiple storage classes, each with different costs and retrieval speeds. Standard S3 storage is more expensive but provides fast access, while S3 Glacier is much cheaper but designed for infrequently accessed archival data. Customers must match the right class to the right use case. For example, a video streaming service might use S3 Standard for current content and Glacier for older shows rarely viewed. Selecting the right class prevents overspending while ensuring data is still available when needed. Compute pricing considerations extend beyond simply launching instances. Different instance types, operating systems, and even payment models like on-demand versus reserved can dramatically change costs. A compute-optimized instance may be more expensive than a general-purpose one, but deliver better performance for certain workloads. Customers must evaluate what type of power they actually need instead of automatically choosing the largest option. Much like selecting the right car for a trip, compute costs should align with actual requirements rather than imagined needs. This careful planning makes the difference between cost-effective use and wasted resources. A common trade-off in AWS is between reserved capacity and flexibility. Reserved instances or savings plans offer major discounts in exchange for committing to certain usage. This is excellent for stable, predictable workloads, but it can reduce flexibility if business needs change. On-demand resources, by contrast, provide complete freedom but at a higher cost. The exam may ask which model is best for different scenarios, such as a steady production workload versus a short-term project. Recognizing this trade-off is essential to making smart financial decisions in the cloud. Spot market pricing adds another dynamic. With spot instances, customers can use spare AWS capacity at steep discounts, but they risk losing those instances when demand rises. Spot pricing is constantly shifting based on supply and demand, much like airline ticket prices. While it offers dramatic savings, customers must design workloads that can tolerate interruptions. For example, running scientific simulations or background data analysis can work well on spot instances. The exam may test whether you understand the trade-off: huge savings paired with potential instability. Spot is powerful when used appropriately. The AWS Cost Explorer tool helps customers understand and manage their spending. It provides visual reports showing where money is being spent, which services are driving costs, and how usage changes over time. Cost Explorer allows customers to identify trends and spot unexpected increases before they become serious problems. For exam purposes, remember that Cost Explorer is about analyzing historical and current costs, while other tools like the pricing calculator are used for forecasting. In practice, Cost Explorer gives organizations clarity and helps them optimize their cloud investments. AWS Budgets is another tool designed for financial control. With budgets, organizations can set spending limits and track their progress against them. If costs begin to exceed the budget, alerts are triggered, allowing teams to act before bills grow too high. For example, a department might set a budget of $5,000 per month for testing environments. If spending reaches 80% of that amount, AWS Budgets can notify the administrators so they can shut down idle resources or adjust usage. This proactive approach supports accountability across teams. Forecasting costs and trends is a final but crucial aspect of AWS pricing. By studying historical data and current usage, organizations can predict future expenses and plan accordingly. This supports better decision-making, ensures projects stay within financial limits, and reduces the chance of surprises. AWS tools provide forecasting capabilities, giving customers the ability to align technology plans with business budgets. For the exam, remember that AWS supports both real-time cost monitoring and forward-looking planning, ensuring customers can control spending before it becomes a problem. From an exam perspective, pricing concepts are highly relevant. You don't need to memorize exact costs, but you must know the different pricing models, the purpose of tools like Cost Explorer and Budgets, and the key factors that influence costs. Expect scenario-based questions asking which pricing option is best for a particular business case. For example, the exam might ask what model fits a company with predictable long-term workloads, or what tool helps set alerts for overspending. Understanding pricing ensures you can apply your knowledge in practical and exam settings. As we close this episode, remember that pricing knowledge is not just for passing the test. It is also essential for using the cloud wisely. The flexibility of AWS means customers can save money or overspend, depending on their decisions. By mastering pricing models, tools, and strategies, you ensure that the cloud remains cost-effective. Whether you are supporting a small project or managing enterprise-level budgets, the principles are the same. Match the right pricing model to the workload, monitor usage closely, and use AWS's tools to stay in control. This financial literacy is just as important as technical knowledge in the cloud. That concludes today's episode of the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner Prepcast. Be sure to tune in for the next episode and visit us online at baremetalcyber.com or cyberauthor.me for more resources, including news, mailing lists, YouTube videos, podcasts, and much more.